Hello and welcome to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast number 26. As mentioned in my post on the Facebook page this morning, this week's show is a change from the advertised one, but I do plan to get back on track from next week. In today's episode, feedback, Facebook page bullying, and the 8th Doctor.
Come here, you scrumptious little beauty. A box?
Doctor, what is it?
I've got mail.
Not a huge amount of feedback this week, with James Morrell first up saying, "I'm so overjoyed that Peter Capaldi is the new Doctor." Me too, James, and I'll never forget the moment when he was announced, leaping up out of my chair and shouting, "Yes!" which is really undignified for some 40-something-year-old mad fan, and it also scared the life out of the lovely Mrs. Theta Sigma who was on the sofa next to me at the time. Melissa Cancola, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, said, "I have to admit when I heard the name of Peter Capaldi, I was terribly disappointed. At first I didn't know who he was, then I heard that he was already in the Pompeii episode, and I was like, no, he's already known for a character. Then I thought he's too old, but actually he's younger than my dad. Then I saw the little short video where he announces he's the Doctor, and I thought, this could be good. I still have to see him perform as the Doctor though, so it's mixed feelings for me." I can understand all of that, Melissa. There's a lot of people out there who are reserving their judgment until they've seen Capaldi in the role, and that's sensible. Far more sensible than some of the rantings and ravings that have come from certain areas of fandom, where so-called fans of the show have said they're going to stop watching because of Capaldi's casting. Indeed, I was shown a link to a Tumblr blog only yesterday where a teenage fan let loose with a foul language tirade over the 12th Doctor casting. Well, to that area of fandom I say this. You know where the door is, kindly use it and don't let it hit you on the way out. Some of us remember Colin Baker as the Doctor, and at the time we didn't like him either, but that didn't stop us being massively disappointed when the show was taken off the air for 18 months, or continuing to watch it when it returned with the Trial of a Time Lord season. As someone once said, if you're not a fan of the current Doctor, hang around for a couple of years, there'll be a new one along soon. So get over it, people. Either love the show or leave. We don't need your kind here, thank you very much. And as a new Facebook page says, Peter Capaldi is the 12th Doctor. Fangirls, get over it.
Yes, well, I'll tell you something that should be of vital interest to you. That you, sir, are a nitwit.
And now on to the main topic for this week, the 8th Doctor. Paul McGann was born on the 14th of November 1959, and is an English actor who made his name on the BBC TV serial The Monocled Mutineer, in which he played the lead role. He's best known for his role in Withnail and I, and for portraying the 8th Doctor in the 1996 Doctor Who TV film and subsequent tie-in media. McGann was born in Kensington, Liverpool, in Lancashire, into a Roman Catholic family. His mother Claire was a teacher, and his father was a metallurgist, or metallurgist, depending on your pronunciation. His parents encouraged him and his siblings to develop their talents from an early age, and McGann's talents were further developed when he attended Cardinal Allen Grammar School in West Derby in Liverpool. One of McGann's teachers advised him to enter the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts and pursue a career as an actor. Acting on his teacher's advice, McGann enrolled at the Royal Academy and went on to enjoy a successful acting career spanning over 2 decades. McGann is the third of 6 children in the McGann family. His mother had twin boys, Joseph and John, who were born in 1958, but sadly John died shortly after his birth. He also has 3 younger siblings, Mark, born in 1961, Stephen, born in 1963, and Claire, born in 1965. All 3 of his brothers are also actors, and the 4 of them starred together as 4 brothers in the 1995's TV serial The Hanging Gale, about the Irish famine. The same year he played the role of Grigory Potomkin in the TV film Catherine the Great, with Mark and Stephen. These brothers also formed the pop quartet The McGanns, releasing the single Shame About the Boy. McGann's sister Claire is a programme finance manager for Channel 5. McGann's breakthrough role was Give Us a Break, where he played a good snooker player who got into scrapes with Robert Lindsay, who played his wide boy manager. The series only lasted for 1 series and was concluded by a one-off special. McGann's first major dramatic role was the infamous British deserter and criminal Percy Topless in the 1986 BBC TV serial The Monocled Mutineer. Although McGann received praise for his dramatic performance, the drama was never rebroadcast on the BBC. This is because the BBC came under fire from the Conservative government due to the sensitivity of the subject matter of the Bullring Mutiny in 1917 at a harsh British Army training ground in France. Following on from that, McGann sought a less controversial and more comedic role for his next project. In 1986, he was cast as the eponymous I in Bruce Robinson's cult film comedy Withnail and I. He also starred as Anton Skrabensky in The Rainbow. McGann's other early film appearances include The Monk, Dealers, Tree of Hands, and the epic war film Empire of the Sun. Since 1989, McGann has concentrated primarily on television work, including Nicetown and Nature Boy for the BBC, and The One That Got Away, and the second series of Hornblower for ITV. However, he has had small roles in a number of high-profile American films, such as The Three Musketeers and Aliens 3. In 1993, he was cast as Richard Sharp, the lead actor in the Sharp series made for TV movies. However, he injured his knee while playing football just days into filming Sharp's Rifles in the Ukraine. He was replaced by Sean Bean, and the role effectively kick-started Bean's career, and is the one that he is most closely identified with. McGann's injury led to what was at the time the largest insurance settlement in British television history, a sum of over £2 million. Paul McGann played the 8th incarnation of the Doctor in Doctor Who 1996 television film. The television film also starred Eric Roberts, Daphne Ashbrook, and the outgoing 7th Doctor Sylvester McCoy. McGann's brother Mark McGann also auditioned for the title role. The Doctor Who television film was a joint venture between the BBC, Universal Studios and the Fox Broadcasting Network. McGann himself signed a contract to appear as the 8th Doctor in a new Doctor Who series if either Fox or Universal exercised their option. Thus the television film was supposed to be a backdoor pilot, in that if it obtained respectable ratings, the new series would continue to be produced. The film was shown on the 14th of May 1996 in the US and on the 27th of May 1996 in the UK. Although it earned just over 9 million viewers and was very successful in the UK, ratings were very low in the United States. As a consequence, Fox did not exercise its option to pick up the series, and Universal couldn't find another network interested in airing a new Doctor Who series. Thus, no new series was produced until 2005, after the contractual rights had returned to the BBC, and the movie became McGann's only televised appearance as the 8th Doctor. Although McGann played the Doctor on television only once, he gave permission for his likenesses to be used on the covers of BBC's 8th Doctor novels, and he's reprised the role for the 8th Doctor in an extensive series of audio plays by Big Finish Productions. Rumours abounded that Paul McGann would reprise the role of the 8th Doctor in a new series of television films alongside the current television series. McGann has denied these rumours on the grounds of not having been asked back to play the part, but if he were asked he would be interested, as long as he didn't have to wear a wig. In the years following his appearance as the Doctor, McGann continued to diversify his acting portfolio with the television and film roles he accepted. He continues to this day to play the 8th Doctor on audio. His first Big Finish audio play appearance was in the 2001 story Storm Warning, which also featured Blake 7 leading man Gareth Thomas. McGann's companions in the audio plays are Charlie Pollard and Kerrys. It was through Big Finish audio plays that McGann's Doctor finally got the chance to meet many of the classic Doctor Who villains like the Daleks in Time of the Daleks and the Cybermen in The Sword of Orion. 5 8th Doctor dramas were broadcast in BBC Radio 7's The Seventh Dimension slot between August 2005 and January 2006. They were in release order, starting with Storm Warning, although Minuet in Hell was judged unsuitable for the time slot and was skipped. 2 more 8th Doctor audios, Sharda and the Chimes of Midnight, were broadcast in December 2005 and January 2006. All 6 of these stories were rebroadcast on BBC Radio 7 beginning in July 2006. From January 2007, a series of all-new plays starring McGann as the 8th Doctor and Sheridan Smith as companion Lucy Miller was broadcast on BBC Radio 7.
Let's go then, Charlie. I want to have a good old poke around.
But what of the Doctor himself? Well, the 8th Doctor made his first television appearance in the 1996 Doctor Who television movie, the first time the Doctor had returned to television since the end of the original series in 1989. Intended as a backdoor pilot for a new television series on the Fox network, The movie managed to draw just 5.5% of the US audience, according to the Nielsen ratings. In the United Kingdom, it was received well, attracting over 9 million viewers and generally positive reviews, and it was also generally well received in Australia. Although the movie failed to spark a new television series, the Eighth Doctor's adventures continued in various licensed spin-off media, notably the BBC Books' Eighth Doctor adventure novels, audio plays from Big Finish Productions, and the Doctor Who magazine comic strip. These stories spanned the 9 years between 1996 and the debut of the new television series in 2005. He is therefore arguably the longest-serving Doctor in the Doctor Who magazine comic strip. In the wake of the positive reaction to the revived television series in 2005, several of the Eighth Doctor's Big Finish audio dramas were also broadcast on BBC Radio 7 in an edited form. The trailers for these broadcasts explained that the adventures took place before the destruction of Gallifrey, as described in the revived television series. In 2007, BBC Radio 7 aired a new series of Eighth Doctor audio adventures, created specifically for radio broadcast. Paul McGann has continued to play the Eighth Doctor in the various audio spin-offs. The canonicity of the spin-off media with respect to the television series and to each other is open to interpretation. The Beginner's Guide to Doctor Who on the BBC's classic Doctor Who website suggests that this may be due to the Time War. It has been suggested that the Eighth Doctor's adventures in 3 different forms, novels, audio and comics, take place in 3 separate continuities. The discontinuities were made explicit in the audio drama Zagreus. In response, it's become increasingly common to consider the 3 ranges separately. The final Eighth Doctor Adventures novel, The Gallifrey Chronicles, obliquely references this split in timelines, even suggesting that the split results in 3 alternative forms of the Ninth Doctor, a reference to the fact that 3 different versions of the incarnation have appeared in various media. Mary's Story, a 2009 audio story by Big Finish, contradicted these suggestions, as there the Doctor mentions his companions in order, with book companions before audio companions. Ultimately, however, all matters of canonicity remain typically unclear. Despite the fact that the Eighth Doctor appeared on television only once, he is the most prolific of all the Doctors to date in terms of the number of individual stories published in novel, novella, short story and audio. In 2007, the Eighth Doctor finally made a second appearance, of sorts, within the television series continuity. In the episode Human Nature, he appears on screen as a sketch in a book, A Journal of Impossible Things by John Smith. In 2008 and 2010, he appeared again as a brief image in The Next Doctor and The 11th Hour, along with every other incarnation up to that time. In 2010's The Lodger, he is shown in a flashback with his first, second, third, fourth, ninth and 10th incarnations. And then in 2013's Nightmare in Silver, he is shown in a flashback, along with his first through to 10th incarnations. The Eighth Doctor encouraged those around him to seize life instead of withdrawing from it. He also seemed to enjoy giving people hints of their own futures, probably to prod them into making the right decisions. As with the 5th and 11th Doctor, the debonair 8th Doctor's youthful, wide-eyed enthusiasm actually hid a very old soul, with perhaps a darker side. In fact, whereas the 8th Doctor of the audio plays and the comic strip hew closely to the television movie Doctor, the 8th Doctor of the novels exhibited what was, at the time, a much darker personality, perhaps due to the rather traumatic adventures he'd apparently undergone at the time. The Eighth Doctor also attracted controversy in the television movie, breaking the long-standing taboo against romantic involvement with his companions by kissing Grace Holloway. Fans were divided on this. In the spin-off media that followed, the Eighth Doctor has often been the object of romantic interest, but has shown little or no romantic inclinations of his own. In all his iterations, the Eighth Doctor has proven extremely prone to bouts of amnesia, a tendency apparently inspired by the plot of his sole television appearance. He also demonstrates in his televised appearance a penchant for sleight of hand. He manages to lift or pickpocket various items from certain people he meets during his first adventure.
We can leave saving the universe from monsters for another day, alright?
And that's all for this week. As always, thank you for listening, and if you have any feedback, do feel free to inbox me on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who page, or you can leave your comments on this post, or you can email me at respectthething@outlook.com. Next week we get back to the 5th Doctor Big Finish audio reviews that I promised a couple of weeks ago. And in the weeks ensuing after that, we'll be looking one at a time at the various characters from the crowded TARDIS. So until next time...
Well, goodbye, my boy. You did quite well. Quite well. It's reassuring to know that my future is in safe hands.
Thank you for listening to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all copyright and property of the BBC, and no infringement is intended.